present. I hope you can all see and hear me okay. I was talking to myself for about 5 minutes, and I think it looks like it's working now. Okay, so yeah, just another week in Reddit Cardano review. And this time, I think a little bit different. We will probably be discussing price a little bit towards the end of the stream after we get bored with the Cardano Reddit review, just because, even though we don't usually talk about like price action for the week on this channel, more about like technological and other kinds of developments in the space, I think breaking the all-time high is kind of a big milestone. And personally, I was not expecting, or what do you call it, um, even hoping for this kind of movement in the price until much later on. So I kind of, I don't know what my new targets are, and I have no plans on really selling the ADA that I'm holding. My long-term plan is just to, if I do have to sell eventually, sell staking or pool operator rewards, but maintain my kind of capital in ADA, right? I think, which is not an uncommon plan for a lot of people. So, having said that, let's jump into the Cardano subreddit. I also have a new little piece of equipment today. I'll be trying out. I'm not sure how it's gonna work, but can you guys see this? Doesn't look like you can. I'm able to draw on my tablet, but it doesn't look like it's going. So, anyways, let's jump over on into the subreddit. What's Charles saying here? The top post, I've already sorted it for top post for this week. Got Charles, and what does he say? We're here to stay forever. This is Cardano, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for making that happen. That's what my lip reading and faint headphone listening says. So it's pretty cool, right? What does anyone know what he's referencing specifically? What is he talking about? Was this in reference to breaking the all-time high, or the Merry Hard Fork being initiated, perhaps? I don't watch too many of the AMAs anymore. I got bored with all the spam and questions rolling by. So, another cool post. Got my business set up to take ADA by Led Zeppel 10. I was trying to check out this site earlier, Ashland Delivery. What is this? It's like a local Uber Eats. Has ADA Pay listed on the website. And where are they located? In Ashland, Oregon. Okay, so this probably, I guess, looks like a local delivery service in a specific town in Oregon. So probably, I'm guessing just their business model is less of a cut to them and more to the local restaurants, because I know that's a big problem for a lot of local restaurants when they're given, I don't know, like 20 to 30% to Uber. So that's cool. That's it's an adoption thing, right? I tend to like those flares or those subjects, because that's actually how ADA is going to get, furthered in the world beyond just price speculation or staking for staking's sake. I think that, as small as this might be, a small little service for a local town in Oregon, these kind of adoption things are very important to the future of the program. And I'm looking forward to borrowing a page from Doge's book. One ADA is equal to one ADA, and no longer having to think about fiat, or as some would say, shiat. Hi, Patrick. Thanks for joining tonight. I was reading this post earlier, and it didn't quite make sense to me. This Cardano just won the stablecoin arms race, and no one is paying attention. The point they make out in it, I think, is that because of the new feature of Babel. Patrick, can you link your post into the chat? That's actually something I kind of want to discuss. Is I think just the general quality of the subreddit has kind of gone in the shitter, I think, and I'm kind of, you can see a lot of the posts I haven't voted on because I haven't really checked them out this week, and I'm just kind of wondering about whether this is really interesting to do anymore, because it used to be, I feel like, more like developments in the space, and now it's a lot of like newcomers coming in. So back to this post. This is they were talking about how you can pay for native tokens to be sent with native tokens. It's a little bit confusing to me. I was watching some of the live streams, but basically like they can set like a negative ADA balance in a UTXO, and the stake pool operator has to, or can choose to accept that or not, and receive payment in the native token of choice, rather than forcing all the fees to be paid in ADA. Okay, Patrick's got it. I'd be curious what your post was, though. If you do have time to throw it in there, I'd like to review it. It's probably interesting. So yeah, another "don't be a jerk" post. I'm guessing this is about new people. So much is happening in the community. They can Google, do your own research. Yeah. So it's definitely important to be welcoming to new members. I don't know that we always need to be telling ourselves to be welcoming to new members. This is kind of like what I'm talking about. It's very repetitive content. This was very important, but again, I saw like, I think 4 or 5 different threads in the top page today that were all about the fake Daedalus app. So if you're not aware, there was a fake Daedalus app in the Google Play Store, which looked like it was from IOHK. It said it was from IOHK, and it looked like it had legit screenshots of Daedalus, of a Daedalus-like app. I didn't download it because I didn't know how it worked, so I didn't want to check it out. But obviously, if you put your seed phrase into that wallet or sent any money to a wallet address that was generated in it, the people who are making that app were just stealing your funds. So, and I was surprised how long it took to come down. This has been floating around forever now, but actually, I just finally reported it a few days ago, and I think people were starting to talk in the past couple of days. Don't just give it a 1-star review, but actually report it. And I kind of agree with the sentiment that this can be really bad for onboarding new users, because if you come to a new project and the first thing that happens is you lose, like $5,000 or something, that's going to put a pretty bad experience into your mouth, even though it's not really the fault of the project, right? I'm most happy about this post, the fact that they've slowed down posting updates on new sub members, right? I think I'm guessing we might see one at 225 or 250. What are we at now? We're currently at 225, so I guess we'll probably see another celebration post like this one when we get to 250,000 and 300,000. Got more pictures. What's going on? This S curve. Like I said, I think the thing to watch here is, for how long does the interest in this subreddit continue to go vertically, and when does it start to taper off into this kind of upper shoulder of what's called an S curve, right? Because it looks like an S. Where am I right now? It feels good to hodl ADA, right? This is pretty cool. And there's another, it's not actually mentioned in this tweet, but what this is talking about is the transaction volume in US dollars for the amount of ADA that was moved between addresses and the total amount of fees. And it's kind of mind-boggling that it's $26 million in fees on the Ethereum network for roughly what is this? 13.48 billion. Is that a B at the end? I can't tell. The screenshot's quite fuzzy. 13.48 billion versus 14.70 billion. So roughly equivalent, right? Half a billion difference. Cardano slightly more, but how many orders of magnitude, how many decimal places over are the fees on Ethereum? Of course, Ethereum is probably not just sending and receiving money. These are probably gas fees for other transactions and smart contracts. So it's not quite a fair comparison one to one, because I'm not sure what I think the more fair comparison would be on Ethereum. How much, if we just looked at sending and receiving transactions, how much transaction volume was there and what were the fees for that? So, but in general, you can imagine if this is 26.35 million, it's probably going to be pretty heavily in ADA's favor, because ADA is less than $10,000 for a 24-hour period. And to a certain extent, this also just shows the efficiency of the network. And one of the advantages of a proof of stake consensus model versus a proof of work consensus model, which relies on high-powered GPU or ASIC. Sorry, I keep kicking my microphone stand. High-powered ASIC or GPU calculations to power the network, right? Because it's just so much cheaper to operate that miners don't have to be, or stake pool operators don't have to be compensated in the same way that people who are consuming tons of electricity and using tons of capital to purchase hardware need to. Proposal to ban anyone who uses rocket, diamond hands, etc. emojis for a short amount of time for our sanity. Yeah, I feel like this kind of thing is gatekeeping or whatever. It's kind of counter to what I was saying earlier with how much repetitive content there is. But I do think that probably like they need like a Saturday or something, or one day of the week where the subreddit can just go to shit, right? And people can just ask all their newbie content. Thank you, Nostradamus. And they can ask for all their newbie questions, and they can post their to the moon and whatever memes that they want to. I know I regularly read, as does my wife now, Wall Street Bets, just because it's quite funny, right? And yeah, I guess the point is not every subreddit needs to be Wall Street Bets, but I do think that it can kind of help with mainstream adoption and that kind of stuff. So I'd be okay with, one day a week or something like that being open season for dumb stuff in the Cardano subreddit. But I guess it has a danger of that might leak out and start coming across. I was reading some other cryptocurrency threads this week, and ADA appeared a lot more in those in that subreddit than it usually does due to the price action that we mentioned. And it was quite interesting to see how other people discuss ADA, and it did come up quite a bit how kind of special the Cardano subreddit is compared to other crypto communities. So that's interesting to me. I think personally, I started interacting with Cardano through the subreddit, and I never have really used the official forum site because it's like not very interesting or well trafficked to me, and I never really liked Twitter until, and even now, until I started being involved in the Cardano space. So I'm a big Reddit user, and I just like the long form kind of discussion that can happen, and the upvoting, downvoting mechanism. It does kind of create an echo chamber sometimes, but I generally like Reddit, which is why I do a weekly subreddit review and not a weekly Twitter drama review. Mary confirmed for March 1st. This was put in this Epoch, I think, right? So it should be going live, I guess. Let's say here, yeah, March 1st, which is very shortly, right? It'll be pretty cool. If you are a stake pool operator, or you are delegating with a stake pool like you should be, you might want to keep a closer eye on your stake pool's performance, because a a lot. It's been recommended to up the RAM of your nodes from a minimum of 3 to 4 gigabytes up to 8 gigabytes of RAM. I did this earlier this month, so I have how many do I have right now? I have one, two. I have a block producer and 4 relays. 2 of them are registered on chain, and 2 of them are dark. In case someone tries to take down our relays, the block producer is still able to be connected to the outside world. But the point there is that I'm a big fan of minimal hardware requirements, right? Not over designing and over specifying something, but actually using it sufficiently, because I do believe a little bit in the Cardano ethos that, or this idea in Cardano of like efficiency, right? So throwing hardware at a problem doesn't really make sense to me. So this is the first time I've had to upgrade the nodes in the Monad pool that I run. And I'm just saying for everyone else out there, keep an eye on maybe what would you do if they're on Pool Tool IO? You can check the pool tip height if they use that feature, or just keep an eye if you're in a big pool, if you can check their blocks if they are continuing to make blocks throughout this epoch. You know, some pools have multiple epochs per block, or multiple blocks per epoch. Sorry. And so just make sure that they're continuing to print out blocks, because people are speculating that a lot of the underspec'd pools could struggle with some of the new features and overhead and computation required. So make sure you are on top of that, or you could affect your staking rewards going forward. Oh, and I guess we should just discuss what is the Merry Hard Fork, right? This is what's going to allow for native tokens on the Cardano blockchain. And this to me is actually kind of a huge deal, because so many crypto projects, if you may or may not know, are actually really not their own independent blockchains. They're actually ERC20 tokens on the Ethereum network. Right. I think Uniswap, and if anyone in chat can give some examples of these big ERC20 token projects, but this basically, I believe, allows for, I don't know that the ERC20 converter is live yet, if anyone knows about that, but you should be able to build new projects at least from tomorrow that take advantage, that can be using the Cardano basically protocol and network to handle the kind of transaction and processing of your project. Let's focus on the relevant, increasing the long-term utility and not price pumping. Yes. So we'll get to the price in a little bit, right? Sneak preview in case you've been living under a rock. Cardano is up. Yeah, we had a good chat earlier today. I'm a little bit out of it. My energy level is even lower than usual because I woke up at 5:30 a.m. this morning to talk to Matt from Artano to discuss his NFT proposal, right? So I apologize. Probably some of you have seen a little bit too much of my face today. And yeah. Charles being Charles. Did he get the check yet? I saw this post a while ago. Let's go check him out. Let's go check him out. Let's see. Where's Charles Hoskinson? This is so funny. He still does not have a check mark. And they've given this other random guy a blue check mark. Right, quite funny. I think the other guy played it quite well. I'm going to have to go back to school and learn how to do crypto because it seems fascinating. Maybe if he were to put up a wallet address, he might. Yeah. Whoops. Oh, I actually like this. Let's talk about this for a second. Have you guys seen this video? I'm considering doing something similar for my channel. I was just reading about YouTube Shorts. But basically, this is David. David is a really cool guy who's making these kind of marketing videos for Cardano. I believe he was hired by IOHK to do this, and this is part of their new initiative, which is, I believe they call it their vertical strategy. I actually worked at a startup in Japan that was basically, they're kind of like the Twitch of Japan. They offer like a live streaming site to Japanese wannabe idol stars to stream to fans and to build an audience kind of thing. But they were also launching this new kind of, what was that really stupid service called? Had a bunch of Hollywood bigwigs behind it. It was the vertical smartphone app. They just went out of business. They went bankrupt and had to sell their shorts to. The idea was that they had like all their shows were less than 10 minutes long, and they were designed, or they were shot in a vertical format, and you could flip the phone back and forth. It was really stupid. But I do believe, after having used TikTok for about a week or two, that it's a very compelling kind of format, right? And I do think that having content of 30 seconds to a minute is like really easy to consume and really easy to go wide. So I'm super happy that David is making this content. I assume, yeah, you can see the TikTok logo over there, right? That they're putting this out there, because I think this is like super critical to get a larger, more mainstream audience. I understand that my channel is not really very smartly done, because most of my content is about an hour long and very boring and not to the point. So I think I'm gonna take a page from him and try to edit down to like little 1 minute snippets. So you'll probably be seeing some of that from me too in the future. These short 30-second to 1 minute long YouTube Shorts videos. So let me know what you guys think about them when they start coming out, if they're annoying or if I should stop that. We talked about this already, but fake Daedalus wallet, so we'll skip that one. This one I read a little bit. My thoughts right now as a 2017 investor. He mentions how the trading pairs are working, and actually, well, let's find it. I've never seen it. It's the first line. I've never seen a crypto show as much strength as ADA is showing right now. This dip has barely even dented ADA, and it's up against BTC trading pairs. Have a look at the ADA ETH trading pairs, and ADA is killing it, right? I was tweeting about something like this earlier. I'm gonna pull it up. The coolest thing about this move and us breaking the all-time high, maybe we'll save it for later, even though we're back under it now again, is that it happened not in a euphoric everything is up swing, right? But it happened when everything was kind of crashing down. And that to me made it so much more meaningful, because I really don't like this movement of all cryptos together, right? Where we're all in lockstep. And it's kind of like the way I've started thinking about it. If you were like in a class and somebody worked really hard and somebody worked okay and somebody didn't work at all, and everyone was just given an A, right? Like, how annoying would that be if you were someone who worked hard? Which I would argue Cardano is a project which works hard. It hustles, right? And it's well thought out, it's well prepared, and it's done the work, right? So it's awesome for like the Dogecoin of the class to, pump along with everyone else, because everyone is just trying to get into crypto right now. But it does kind of diminish the value of what Cardano is doing, I think, when all these kind of shit coins are also pumping. And so the fact that we could break our previous all-time high, which I had around $1.38, while everything else was kind of dumping, that to me makes it even more meaningful. I don't know about you guys, but I thought that was a super cool way for us to break it. Think about if we had broken it and everything was up 20-30% that day. Like, you'd have, I feel like you'd have more FUD coming at Cardano, like, right, like that this was happening just because everything else was up and it's crypto, right? But I think it is a little bit harder to be skeptical of the value that the market seems to perceive in Cardano when it's moving against the the trend. Tell me all the reasons ADA could fail. I was trying to read this, but most of it was discussion, right? The content is right in the title, right? He's pro ADA. He wants to know stuff, but most of the first couple comments that I were reading is all about, yes, we should upvote stuff like this and not downvote it. So, new technology coming out. I think new technology coming out is actually not that big of a risk because of the foresight that IOHK has had in developing, how do you say, uh, the governance layer in Voltaire, right? So the fact that Cardano is designed to change is actually pretty different than most blockchains, because most blockchains aren't able to change so easily. And the other part of that is, some people are kind of upset with Polkadot for having, quote, copied Ouroboros and, re-implemented it for their blockchain. But having worked in product development and R&D, I can tell you, it's not a big deal when other people copy you. Like, it is really a sign of not respect, but admiration, because they don't know how to do something better. And think about the long-term competitive advantage that you have if you that Cardano has over Polkadot, because they have the minds that came up with Ouroboros. And what does Polkadot have? Polkadot has the ability to copy whatever Cardano does, right? They didn't come up with Ouroboros. And so going forward, people who are able to make things like Ouroboros, they are working on the Cardano project. And Polkadot has given a huge endorsement to Cardano, whether they realize it or not, by choosing to use the consensus mechanism protocol that Cardano came up with, right? Does that make sense to you guys? And moreover, they're kind of saying implicitly that their own team is not able to come up with or improve upon that protocol because they've chosen part and parcel to kind of like implement it or to use it themselves. So what I'm saying is like maybe it's talks about don't, what's the golden goose thing? You don't kill the goose that lays golden eggs, right? Ouroboros is just one golden egg, and IOHK and Cardano Foundation, all this stuff, they're a goose that lays golden eggs. So don't get too caught up on the fact that other people are copying our golden eggs, and just be happy that we are the ones who have a team and a kind of working methodology which is able to produce stuff that is so valuable to not just ourselves but the rest of the crypto community. So I think that's like super bullish. Brace yourselves. Cardano supports any number of native tokens in a single transaction. This is cool. This is part of the screen share that happened, I think, for stake pool operators. I missed this one again because of time zone issues. I have to like be up at 2 or 3 a.m. to catch it. It's a little bit too late for me and a little bit too early as well. So unfortunately, I tend to miss these. But I saw one of them being demoed, and it's pretty cool. So if you're looking at what is this thing, right? You're sending some amount of ADA and some amount of other tokens in your wallet. They've made some Darko tokens. Darko is a member of, I believe, the Daedalus team at IOHK, and Tim is the marketing guy, I think, who does these sessions. So they've made their own tokens on the thing, and they're sending to this address not just ADA but also some Darko and some Tim. Pretty sweet. You guys are pretty quiet tonight. Don't see much happening. Is anyone awake? Let's check. Am I talking to myself again? We got 5 people in stream. There we go. That's how you know you're in a big channel. This I thought was super cool. Uh, I keep telling my friends who are thinking about getting into Cardano. Let's just pull it up quickly. Yeah, the U.S. dollar fiat price might be looking crazy right now. Might be looking a little bit, like what's the phrase? You might top tick. You might be buying in at the top. But let's just pull up quickly the ADA BTC price. How do we do that? ADA BTC. Let's zoom out. This is at the weekly level. Yeah. So maybe a week or two ago, I think we were down in this range. And my what I was telling all my friends who were interested is like we were still. I'm just going to draw this horizontal line over here. Right up until pretty recently, we were still below this previous local high, and I did kind of foresee, because I'm a visionary like that, right? That eventually it's not just going to be the US dollar price going up, but what will really make me happy is when ADA starts to reverse this long downward trend, right? And it looks like we're basically saying hello to everyone else right now. I think the next target is around 4,000 satoshis, right? And then on to 7,000. So there's still a lot of headroom in relative to BTC, right? So depends on if BTC stays the same or conversely goes down. You could imagine a scenario, not financial advice, all that good stuff, where BTC kind of retraces and calms down for a bit, but ADA continues to go up. And then when ADA starts to move up, ADA is able to hold on to its Satoshi rate, and that would result in the fiat rate going back up as well. But this was pretty amazing to me. This global crypto investment fund. He was actually on James Keever's Your Cardano Update channel, which is like I think the first Cardano YouTube channel that I did an interview on briefly when I launched the Monad Pool website, or the what do you call it, the Monad Map tool. But actually, one of the high people up in this FD7 Ventures talked to him for maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So I'd recommend go checking that out if you can. Yeah, and 750 million US dollars worth of Bitcoin was sold to buy Cardano and Polkadot. They don't say what the split was, right? If it's 50-50. I'd actually kind of assume that it was, if anything, it would probably be more in Cardano's favor than Polkadot, just due to the market cap of Cardano versus Dot, and also like the team and his. I'd imagine maybe it's like 60-40, even maybe 66-33 in Cardano's favor. Maybe 75-25, but this is pretty big. It's pretty exciting to see that some institutional money is starting to flow into Cardano, right? Because that's always been one of my kind of skepticisms about. As much as I want to be a Cardano maximalist, it seemed to me like Bitcoin is always going to have, maybe Ethereum a little bit, like the eye of investors just from the name recognition. So yeah, Nostradamus, can you expand on that? You're saying due to massive staking, order books are empty and creates huge volatility. I do know that the staking percentage is quite high, but I never really understand what people say when they say this, because there was a time when I first got into Cardano, actually, where I would actually dance with my funds. I would make sure that all my funds were in a Daedalus wallet like a few hours before the snapshot. Then I would have the snapshot occur, and then I would send my money, my ADA, to Binance, and I'd trade for 4.5 days, and then I'd withdraw it again, right? Your ADA, I think it's a good thing and a bad thing, because the bad thing from my mind with no lock-in period is it allows all the exchanges to hold and stake their customers' ADA with no risk, right? If there was even like a 12-hour or a 24-hour staking period, locking period, that would kind of, I believe, force a lot of exchanges to not stake their customers' ADA because they would need it on hand in the event of a liquidity event, right? So, but I don't understand, like, there's no locking in Cardano, right? So people tend to talk about how much ADA is being staked. I guess the argument is just psychological, maybe, that once you have your ADA in a wallet, I mean, one of the reasons for sure that I stopped trading is it was just a lot easier and lower stress for me to just hold my ADA in a wallet and not have to worry about losing money and only gaining money, only gaining ADA rather than worrying about my bad trading instincts. Fake Daedalus wallet. We talked about this again. I think this is pretty cool. I saw this briefly. Guy made some paper wallets, it looks like, and gave them away to his students. I think this is a pretty good way to increase adoption. I would, if I were ever to do this, I would hold on to a copy of the cards that I had given away, and I would burn them once I saw that they were actually used, or they had actually transacted. But I think, let's say that there's 10 ADA on each of these cards, right? And right now, that's $10 per card. He's probably got like $100 or $200 worth of paper wallets here. But you don't want to be one of those people who gave away 100 ADA 5 years from now, and half the students who got the cards didn't know what to do with it, and they sat on it and they melted it or whatever, they abandoned it, and now there's like 50 ADA that you could have used out there. So 86% decentralized. With all the good news, we shouldn't forget about the D. I thought this was a very interestingly titled post. I was surprised I didn't see more comments. Let's see if we can read some of the comments. This looks like it might be good. What do you like about the wallets, Patrick? Is it just me, or is this a very funnily phrased thing? We shouldn't forget about the D. Also, Mary is coming. Think about that for a second. I'm going to go on. Welcome to Merry Folks. It's been an incredible ride. Yeah, tomorrow. This was a pretty cool tool. I think this was not actually a video cast, but it was like a way to import a log into some kind of and it recreates the terminal commands that you typed in. At least that's how I interpreted this ASCII cinema. So this video, if you didn't watch it, if you go here and you click this link, what is my opinion on not updating K to 1000? I assume that's going to happen in a little bit. I thought maybe that they were going to do it. No, I didn't talk about it, Patrick. I heard that it's never been confirmed yet. It's something that they would like to do. And I heard that they might be doing it still at the end of March when D hits 0, right? When it's fully, how do you say, decentralized. I think the next time they increase it, though, I really hope that they issue a statement of intent about what they hope this K to 1000 change will bring about, and it's not written by a scientist. Because while I appreciate the scientists kind of talking about it like they did the last time, I think it needs to be in very plain English or vernacular languages of the community, of the people around the world, basically, that says the point of increasing K is to spread stake to more pools so that more entities are represented on the network. Yeah, but I mean, they try to explain it in them, but they're speaking very highbrow. They're talking about like game theory and all this other kind of stuff. What I'm saying is like David, the IOHK guy we were talking about above the video, like David and or some other people should say like it is IOHK's position that, if it is in the interest of Cardano stakeholders long term to ensure that there is a highly decentralized network, right? And that having 8 pools or 16 pools, again, anyone can have any number of pools they want to, but it doesn't really go with the whole kind of basic philosophy of cryptocurrency and decentralization to recreate these kind of power clusters. And I while we're on this subject, I just want to talk about, there's some people in the community who are like, we're competing against Binance and these big exchanges, right? And like, we've had this discussion a few times. No, you're not. A stake pool operator is basically like a gas station or like a franchise operator of a business. And Binance is kind of like ExxonMobil, right? Like, does that make sense? When I say you're not competing, what I mean is that the scale of business of operations of an organization like Binance, like them or hate them, and I'm not such a big fan of Binance these days, what they're doing with Cardano fees and everything, but like, it's like saying your corner store, your mom and pop store is competing against Walmart. It just doesn't make sense to think that you're competing with them is just to be self-deluded. Right? You can try to offer competitive stake pool services, but that doesn't mean you're competing with them. So yeah, that's my little soapbox. And I'm actually really curious about this. I had a disagreement with my good Ada friend. I don't know if he's watching right now. About this whole Elon Musk thing. If you're not familiar with it, I'm actually going to open it up, I think, to pull it up. But Charles is saying that Elon Musk is trolling Cardano, and yes, we love you for it, Papa E. I thought this looked batshit crazy. They were talking about like this fork in the road in Elon's profile and Meta for K and a bunch of other signals which were supposedly like showing that Elon was tweeting about Cardano. And to me, it just looked insane. I'm curious what you guys thought. Like, was Elon tweeting about Cardano? Doesn't matter if he was. What do you guys think? It seemed like they were like reading tea leaves and being really. To me, it was like very not Cardano-y to be kind of like it was so extrapolating without any data. It was kind of off-putting to me. Doing my part to help look at more Daedalus stuff. See, I told you there's like 4 or 5 posts over 1,000 upvotes that were how do you say discussing the Daedalus wallet scam. This is interesting. Polkadot versus Cardano's search interest. I think Polkadot has a little bit of a problem from a search engine optimization perspective. It was hard for me to take. I didn't seriously read about Polkadot for a couple months after they launched because I thought like it sounds like Sushi Swap to me, or like some project that I can't really take seriously because the name is just too silly, right? I almost thought it was like a Doge coin or something like that. Like, why would you call something Polkadot? Now it's kind of normalized, and I kind of like, oh yeah, it's dot, blah 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 blah, and I kind of think of it a little bit more seriously. But I don't even know how the search term, right? Like, imagine most of the stuff about Cardano is probably not about the scientist or the, what do you call it, the guy named Cardano, right? At least I don't think so. I don't think most people who are searching for Cardano are looking for him. But I can imagine a lot of this Polkadot interest is like people who are looking for pretty patterns for like a dress or something like that for their kids, right? Like, I don't imagine that Polkadot, the blockchain network, is the dominant query when people are searching for Polkadot. I guess maybe if it doesn't have an S on it, given that usually polka dots is how it's referred to in English, this might be different, but wonder what you think. Cardano solves that. Yes. This was just talking about the guy who's in DeFi and how Binance Chain is basically a clone of Ethereum. I never looked into this. I've used Binance a little bit to pay fees on like when I was margin trading on Binance and stuff like that. But I have no idea what Binance coin is, BNB is. Is it is it is it a proof of work coin that's mined on GPUs, and are those GPUs out in the wild, or is it all just like a database at Binance that says like is it more like Ripple, I guess. I imagine what I've heard some people say, I think Charles said, is Binance is what Ripple should have been. Very, very astute observation, Nostradamus. That's very good. The mathematician Cardano and Nostradamus met in the 16th century. The more I hear Charles Hoskinson speak about Cardano, the more I love ADA. I had an interesting experience that I'll relate on this topic. There's a friend of mine actually who he's got a pretty big YouTube channel. It's a 3D printing channel. It's got around like 55,000 subscribers, I think, last I checked. And I kind of connect with him every couple years and touch base. We both went to architecture grad school together. And what's the deal there? He's a pretty interesting guy, and he's kind of he's on YouTube making videos. So I thought I'd touch base with him and try to get some advice from him and everything. But he wanted to know what I was up to, and I started talking about ADA when I was just to explain my channel, like what am I doing, right? And he was I was pretty surprised. I sent him, I think I don't know if it was the whiteboard video or another interview with Charles. And he immediately got it, and he's like, "Oh, this is so much better than Bitcoin." Blah 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 blah, and he was immediately, pretty heavily agreed and putting a not insignificant amount of money into Cardano. So that was pretty happy or pretty exciting for me to not that he was getting into Cardano even, but just seeing like how quickly someone could be turned on or activated by Charles. Oh, Blockfrost. Actually, I think I was gonna say I used these guys as API to make my Epic update this week, but I actually used La Resistance's, who's a pool operator. I think it's Repsistance actually. He's got a similar service where you can query the Cardano blockchain. So rather than running it locally on my workstation, I queried them. Team Cardano is sending shockwaves tonight, and I'm humbled to be a small part of it. Yeah. So I believe that this is about the breaking the all-time high. I had a pretty fun time watching it. My wife actually came into the room, and we were both sitting here at my desk where I'm streaming from right now, and we were what do you say? We were just watching the price and making predictions. I think I predicted it going to $1.50 after it breaks $1.38. Maybe going to $2 even, but it was pretty fun to kind of we both discussed how our lives are so boring now, and that like we have no sports to watch or anything like that. I don't watch sports really, but that life is so different now that we're a couple sitting together watching green bars, large green bars on a trading screen, and like that constitutes excitement for us now. So, oh, here's a good one. 218,000 subscribers in Cardano. This was also actually pretty cool. Sorry if that was very, but Charles being booked on the Lex Friedman. Is it Friedman? I thought it was always Friedman podcast in June. Wish me luck, everybody. If you don't know Lex to me is like probably the second largest podcast in my personal what do you call it, listening. He has tons of really cool tech people on. I forget the guy's name. there's a really cool chip designer who's worked at AMD and Intel and a bunch of other things, and he had a really good talk with Lex. There's also I think it's Chris Latner, the guy who kind of invented or came up with LLVM, which is a low level compiler, which is another like pretty essential piece of modern infrastructure and tooling. So Lex is like a when I first started watching Lex's podcast, I thought he was a horrible interviewer because I was used to watching or listening to like NPR interviews of like professional people who had very, let's say, professional interviewing technique. But I do think after listening to a few podcasts, Lex started to grow on me, and he what he does is actually, I think, quite good. And I don't know. I think the more, let's say, normal people I've introduced to his podcast have also found it interesting because of the style he has. So if you haven't checked him out, I recommend checking him out on you. I watch all of the stuff on YouTube. Um, the thing that throws me about him is he wears this really like cheap looking suit that looks like a suit you'd wear to a funeral if you were in high school. To all his interviews, and it was weird to me for a while because I just didn't get it. Like, you go casual or actually dress up, but maybe he has a very nice suit, and I just don't know how to read suits. Singularity Net is switching. This was kind of cool because it seems like their community is really on board with it. I've never seen a poll like this. I don't think you could ask people like, chocolate or vanilla ice cream, which one is better? Like, you wouldn't get this kind of split of 137 out of 153 people liking something. I don't think I've ever seen a single poll where, like, should we kill, or should children have guns, right? Would be like the kind of question that might get a response like this, right? We just talked about this Lex Friedman stuff. Yeah, so I think we're kind of tapering off from the Reddit review. I think we made it about 2/3 of the way down the page. So I'm going to switch over and give you not financial advice and just kind of more for me, actually, not for you guys. Like I said, I've been kind of interested in Cardano hitting its all-time high, but I expected this to take maybe a year or maybe 2 years. And so like I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, or not the podcast, the stream, the reason I want to talk about this is actually I want to know what you guys think is like the new target, right? Because I'm anticipating, if we, I think what we did is we broke over, we've pulled back, and we're doing a little bit of, whatever type stuff down here. But I anticipate us breaking through and entering what is commonly referred to as price discovery mode, which is like when an asset, my understanding of what price discovery mode is anyway, like an asset is an uncharted territory. And there's this common idea in trading. It's going to be hard for us to find an example. I'm going to go back to the earlier times of Cardano. It'll be easier. Okay, around here, where basically, like, let's say we were trading Cardano around here. This is in November of last year. So yeah, so Cardano was around 10 cents and it went all the way up to 16 cents, 18 cents, right? And then it fell. There's this idea that you look to the left, right? Wherever the current price is. And what you're doing when you look to the left is you're seeing where did other people kind of buy in at, or where did they bail out of, right? And so if we if I can get my tablet working here. I think I have to turn off my camera to do that. Not put in your password. So, can you think I just messed up my stream. Send this to, we see that? Yep, I think we're seeing that. Clear this. Sorry, I just got a new toy. I want to play with it. This is going to be a little bit confusing for me because I'm actually drawing on the tablet, which is a green screen, right? But if we were riding this up, how do we do that? And we're looking to our left here. We're trying to see, like, did other people bail out during this move? Or did other people get trapped up at these prices and they might be waiting for the price to recover back to where they wanted it to be? Oops, we're in the future now, or we're in the present. And the idea here is that when you look to the left, right, when we're right here, actually, there could be people who bought at these levels above here, up in this area, who are just looking to get back to where they bought in from, right? And so price discovery mode is this exciting kind of area where if you look to the left, there's nobody who's bought in there. And so basically, by definition, you don't really have people who are trying to get out from under their underwater positions. And that can be a hugely kind of positive thing for an asset, because you can just understand. It's like whenever we break an all-time high, everyone who has bought in is in the green, right? And so it kind of takes a lot of selling pressure off of an asset, from what I understand. But again, the reason I'm talking about price is I kind of hit my target. I kind of hit my goal. And so I'm curious, like, what is a new goal? Is it maybe $2, $3, $4? What's your 2021 end of year, let's say, expectation and like goal, right? So if I were to throw a number out there, I would expect ADA to go to probably somewhere between $2 and $3, but that sounds a little bit conservative to me right now. And maybe as high as 5. But I mean, those numbers, like, they don't really make sense to me when you think about like the total market cap of Bitcoin and that kind of stuff. I think, is it like $15 or $26 that if ADA were to go to those price levels, they would have the same market cap of Bitcoin. So, you know, it would be very hard for me to imagine ADA going to $32. Like, I've seen a few, I think those are just clickbaity titles, but I'm wondering, I'm not making fun of anyone who believes that, and I would love for that to be true. My life would be very easy if ADA were to go to $32. But I'm just wondering, what are you guys expecting? I'm wondering, like, when is Paddy gonna drop out of college because he doesn't need to work anymore, right? He's just gonna say F this and do whatever he wants, because it doesn't make sense to continue, given the giant bags of ADA that, you know, he's sitting on, or that we are all sitting on, hopefully. So also, yeah, this is looking a little bit worrying right now, because what happened here? I see I have my little drawing still on screen. I need to figure out a better way of doing this. I'd like to be able to draw directly on the screen, but right now I have to kind of share it. To me, this looks a little bit like it's what time frame for 1 hour. It looks like maybe if you look on this on a longer time frame, it's more just like, yeah, we crossed over. I guess we pulled back, and we'll see. I could see us still breaking back upwards after this kind of retracement, but that's that. I'm surprised more people don't want to talk about price. Usually we have the most number of people just talking about price. Oh, I'm missing the comments. The window that I had open was not showing comments. So what Nostradamus is saying, that he's over trading around 5 trades per hour. No more go to bed with a trade on. I can't afford to lose any Shiant money. Made 7,000 in this bear trend. Made $500 since the beginning of the live. That's awesome. So you're opening shorts, Nostradamus? I never thought I'd hear the day where Nostradamus was shorting ADA. I also did the same back in September, and I think I paid the price for it. So I'm not confident in my trading abilities. So how have you made money in the bear market? What you've done is, I guess you have you're buying you're selling at peaks and buying at dips. Edging? That sounds exciting, Nostradamus. Please elaborate on that. I think if I can close this out a little bit, I think it's time for Nostradamus to give some insights into his trading strategy, because I've decided that I am really not a trader. I am much more of an investor, and I think I'm good at spotting underlying technological innovations and or like things that have a good shot of being successful in the long term. But I think I'm a pretty bad trader, and so I almost don't want to learn, because what I've decided is that my time is better spent kind of learning new technologies and trying to come up with new projects or ideas, because I think those have a much more likely chance of returning me monetary gains and also just being satisfying, versus watching my charts go up or down and my net worth grow or shrink, depending on decisions that I made with financial assets. So that's my personal position. But if I didn't have like technical skills, I would definitely be more into trading. Yeah. Nostradamus. So it seems like you're kind of into TA, counting waves, and just keeping your eye on it. I think that's cool. I think if you're able to make money doing it, like I think we talked about on stream when we were talking together, but I really want you to build up a massive bag of ADA again, because I do want you to be invested in this community going forward, and active in it. So that should be good. Um, Interesting. So super short term. I don't even think you would call that swing trading, right? That's scalping. I think is super small moves. Very cool. So thank you everyone for joining this week. I think we're up to 94 subscribers on the Monad Pool channel. So if you can like and subscribe and leave a comment down below, that would be super cool. If you're not familiar with us, I'll just pull it up. We are Monad Pool, and basically I'm a big Haskell fan who found Cardano through Haskell. And I think the most exciting thing I can announce actually I just announced it on Twitter a little while ago, but due to the large amount of delegation we've received, 1,666,444 ADA, we are now we have enough stake in the pool where we are averaging more than 1 block per epoch. And it's not 2 blocks per epoch, it's 1.33 blocks per epoch. So just because some people on Twitter have called me out for it, averaging 1 block per epoch does not mean we are making a block every epoch. But it means that we have, if our average was 1, it means for every epoch that we get 0 blocks, we have as likely of a chance to get 2 blocks in that epoch or in another epoch, right? It doesn't mean they'll balance out, but statistically speaking, we have the same chance. Right now, we have 1.33 blocks per epoch, which means we'll have even more 2 block per epochs than 0 block per epochs. And I'm happy to announce that we made a block this epoch. You can see a day ago, or it just happened. I think it was earlier or yesterday. I think it was. My sense of time gets thrown off when I wake up early. And also, next epoch, 251, we have 2 blocks. This will be our first multi-block epoch. So that's super exciting to me because we've been. I can't say that we've been doing this a long time. When did we start? I think we started, looks like 3 months ago, and I think we've grown actually really, really fast. You know, if you read any kind of should I start a stake pool advice over on Reddit or YouTube or Telegram, almost everyone will tell you don't. It's impossible. Like you won't really attract delegation and that kind of thing. And I don't think I have a very large pledge. You know, I started this, I think, not as a joke, but just to see. We went from 500 to 25,000 pledge, 44,500, 54,000 a month ago. I keep on plowing, you know, my disposable income into ADA, 60,000, 64,000. And then more recently, I think I basically took my kids' college fund money, their college fund, ADA college fund money, and rather than having that in a wallet that was delegating with this pool, I just put it into the pledge. It makes my life a little bit more difficult that I have to calculate their rewards separately. But I thought it was good just to put that into the pledge. So I'm trying to get this up to 100,000, and obviously that means I need another. At current price levels, around 20 to 30K US dollars, which is not a small amount of money. You can buy a pretty nice Visa with that, from what I hear. So, if you are looking to get rewards everywhere, please consider delegating with Monad or telling your friends. So, thank you for joining us during this stream. And yeah, I'm probably going to learn the lesson not to do one of these streams at night when I've woken up so much earlier than because I think it makes it quite boring with my low energy levels. So thanks everyone for joining. Nostradamus, Padje, always appreciate your comments, and makes things fun. I got to figure out a better way to monitor the chat stream. I wasn't seeing the recent comments because the window got stuck on the scrolled up position. So thank you everybody. Have a good night. Cheers. See you tomorrow.